Quad, British hi-fi brand founded in the mid-30s of the 20th century. The history of the Quad brand began in 1936, when in London, 20-year-old engineer Peter J. Walker, who had previously worked for EMI and GEC, founded a company called SP Fidelity Sound Systems, soon renamed the Acoustical Manufacturing Company. For the first few years, the company was primarily engaged in the manufacture of sound amplification equipment for public events. In 1941, during the war, Walker's London workshop was damaged by bombing, after which he moved the company to Huntingdon, Cambridgeshire, in search of a safer and better equipped base. With the move, the company settled in Huntingdon, where Quad's Research and Development Centre remains to this day. During the war and post-war years, the company gradually switched from professional to domestic equipment. With a growing audience interest in high-quality sound after the war, Walker decided to concentrate on home audio products. After the war, Walker's young company took a step towards home hi-fi. As early as 1948, the first amplifier models designed for the home began to be developed. In 1949, the QA-12P tube monophonic amplifier appeared, the first product of the company conceived specifically for high-quality music reproduction in the home. It was so clean-sounding by the standards of the time that it was soon adopted by the BBC and other recording studios. In 1951, Peter Walker introduced a new model of amplifier for domestic use, which he called Quad, an acronym for Quality Unit Amplifier Domestic. This name originally referred to the amplifier model itself, but quickly became a recognizable brand name for the company. British audio enthusiasts of the 1950s and 60s soon began to refer to the company simply as Quad, preferring this acronym to the official name Acoustical Manufacturing. The success of the first Quad amplifier encouraged Walker to develop a line of home appliances. By 1953, he had already introduced the legendary Quad 2-tube amplifier circuit, consisting of a preamplifier and a 15 watts monoblock. The Quad 2 was a landmark model. It was one of the first domestic amplifiers with push-button input selection and an innovative cathode coupling circuit in the output transformer that minimized harmonic distortion. Outperforming the competition in terms of sound clarity, the Quad 2 remained on the company's production program for the next 18 years, becoming the foundation of its reputation in the mid-20th century. It was then that the company's motto took shape. The ideal amplifier was, in Walker's words, just a piece of wire with amplification, a device that amplified the signal without introducing any extraneous modifications. In the 1950s, Quad made a significant breakthrough in the field of loudspeakers. Walker had been interested in the idea of an electrostatic loudspeaker since the late 1940s. The prerequisites for this were already evident in the middle of the decade. In 1954, Professor Hunt's theoretical work on the advantages of electrostatic radiators was published, and in 1955 Peter Walker himself published a series of articles on wide-range electrostatic loudspeakers in Wireless World magazine. Finally, in 1956, the company completed the development of a revolutionary loudspeaker system, the Quad ESL electrostatic loudspeaker, the world's first commercially available full-range electrostatic speaker. The model premiered in 1957 and made a huge impression on the audio community. The Quad ESL 57, as the system was later called, utilized an ultra-thin, stretched diaphragm placed between two stator grills to which high voltages were applied. Unlike traditional coil and magnet dynamic loudspeakers, the electrostatic circuitry allowed for unprecedented transparency and accuracy of sound with extremely low distortion. The system reproduced the mid-range and treble perfectly, responding instantly to the smallest transients of the musical signal. There were, however, some limitations. A spacious room was required, the speakers had a narrow directivity pattern and could not boast powerful bass, and the ESL 57's non-standard electrical characteristics made special demands on amplifiers. Nevertheless, the Quad ESL quickly won acclaim. its extremely natural sound was appreciated by music lovers and sound technicians. The BBC even used them in studios for broadcast quality control for a time, until they were replaced by more compact dynamic loudspeaker monitors in the 1960s. The Quad ESL 57 remained unchanged for almost 3 decades until the mid-1980s, becoming one of the longest-lived and most respected loudspeakers in audio history. It was hailed by many experts as the benchmark to which subsequent generations of loudspeakers were held. The late 1950s signaled the sound industry's transition to stereophonic formats. After the introduction of stereo vinyl in 1958, Quad adapted to the new requirements. In 1959, the Quad 22 stereophonic preamplifier was released, designed to work in conjunction with 2 Quad 2 monoblocks for stereo recordings. At the same time, the company produced AM and FM tuners to complement its amplifier systems, so that music lovers could build a complete high-end Quad component set. In the mid-1960s, Quad entered the transistor era. The first experience was the Quad 50 monoblock amplifier released in 1966, a professional amplifier with transistors designed for studio use. And 1967 saw the introduction of consumer transistor-based components, the Quad 33 preamplifier and the Quad 303 stereo power amplifier, which worked in tandem. These devices represented a new generation of technology to solve the problems of early transistorized circuits. For example, temperature instability. Quad engineers used an original 3-stage output topology called triple. The innovative design, both circuitry and component appearance, earned the Quad 33 and 303 the prestigious Design Council Award in 1969. What's more, it became one of the most popular sets in the brand's history. It was produced for over 15 years and sold thousands of copies, earning the trust of audiophiles around the world. By the end of the 1960s, Quad was firmly established in the public's mind as the name of the company, symbolizing the quality of British audio, long before the company officially changed its name. In the 1970s, Quad continued to improve amplifier technology, aiming for maximum linearity. Founder Peter Walker, always skeptical of trendy marketing breakthroughs, believed that a good amplifier should do nothing more than increase signal power. In their quest for perfect sound, Quad engineers paid particular attention to reducing distortion. This culminated in a new amplification scheme presented by Walker in 1975 at the 50th Audio Engineering Society conference. It was called current dumping, or current return, which allowed the advantages of a high-quality low-power amplifier and a high-power output stage to be combined without the need for precise transistor matching. The idea was to run a low-power reference amplifier in parallel with the main power stage, monitor the difference between the input and output signal, and make real-time corrective adjustments, thereby eliminating distortion in the output line. In 1975, Quad introduced the first commercially available amplifier to put current dumping into practice, the Quad 405. This transistorized stereo amplifier instantly attracted the attention of the audio industry. In 1978, the company was awarded the Queen's Award for Technological Achievement for the development of the Quad 405. Remarkably, Quad is still the only hi-fi manufacturer to receive this honor. A revised version of the Quad 4052 was released in 1982, after which the concept of current output became the basis of the Quad family of amplifiers. Including the 306, 606 and other models of the following decades inherited much of Walker's ideas of the mid-70s. In 1981, Quad updated its legendary loudspeaker system. After the 25-year triumph of the ESL 57, engineers prepared its successor, the Quad ESL 63. The name refers to 1963, when Walker came up with the key idea for the new design. The ESL 63 was officially launched in May 1981, attracting interest from the audio community. In this model, Peter Walker implemented an original approach. The electrostatic panel consisted of concentric ring-shaped electrodes, which were sequentially activated by the signal through analog delay lines from the center to the outer periphery. As a result, the loudspeaker system emitted sound as if from a single point in space, simulating an ideal point source. In practice, this resulted in an even more accurate phase response and improved sound image scene. The first batch of ESL 63s sold out in just a couple of weeks, and Stereophile magazine called the sound of these speakers truly magical, so great was the experience of listening to the new system. The model remained the flagship model until the late 1990s, when it was replaced by further improved versions of electrostats, ESL 988, ESL 989, and others. In addition to the release of new loudspeakers, the 1980s were also a time for Quad to prepare for the digital age. In 1982, the company introduced the updated Quad 34 preamplifier, in addition to the more advanced Quad 44 released a few years earlier. This new product replaced the previous models and offered ease of use and switching flexibility for the modern listener. In parallel, the range of high-power amplifiers was developing. In 1986, the Quad 306 and Quad 606 stereo amplifiers appeared, introducing an improved version of the current dumping circuit for different price categories. One important step was the introduction of new digital audio technology. In 1986, Quad launched the Series 66 range of components, which was a complete system with a single remote control. In addition to a preamplifier and a power amplifier, the Series 66 included the company's first Quad 66 CD player, introduced a little later in 1989. These components were recognized by experts. The Quad 66 606-67 CD bundle won awards for both sound and usability. It is important to note that 1983 marked a formal name change for the company. Acoustical Manufacturing Company officially took on the name Quad Electroacoustics Limited. By that time, the acronym Quad had already become synonymous with the brand worldwide. At the end of the decade, there was a generational change in management. Peter Walker stepped down, almost half a century after the company was founded, and handed over management to his son, Ross Walker. In this way, family continuity kept the company's philosophy and direction intact in the face of coming market changes. The early 1990s was a period of challenge and adaptation to the new industry environment for Quad. Under the leadership of Ross Walker, modern developments were introduced to compete with a growing number of manufacturers. In 1994, the firm introduced the Quad 77 series of components, with a special emphasis on the Quad 77 integrated amplifier. This amplifier and its accompanying control system is famous for its use of a two-way remote control with an inbuilt screen showing menus, essentially the prototype of a smart remote control for a hi-fi system. All components in the 77 range were interconnected via Quad Link Bus for signal and command transmission, a novelty for home audio. The Quad 77 won the European Amplifier of the Year award, praised by experts for its combination of sound and ergonomics. In the mid-1990s, Quad also expanded its loudspeaker range, complementing the traditional electrostats with a line of classic dynamic loudspeakers. The L series, a series of passive loudspeakers with dynamic drivers, was introduced, which enabled the company to reach a more mainstream segment of audiophiles who preferred traditional loudspeakers. At the same time, the electrostatic models continued to evolve. Quad prepared new ESL versions for connoisseurs of the signature sound. However, the 90s were financially difficult for many British hi-fi manufacturers, and Quad was no exception. In 1995, Quad Electroacoustics Limited was sold to the British holding company Verity Group plc, which already included other companies such as Wharfedale and Mission. The new owners restructured the company by moving Quad production to a factory in Shenzhen, China. Despite the changes, the engineering and service center of the company remained in England, in Huntingdon, which allowed to keep the tradition of quality and support of the former products. In 1997, the Verity Group changed its strategy to focus on the development of flat panel loudspeakers, NXT technology, and decided to spin off its classic audio brands into a separate entity. As a result, in autumn 1997, Quad, together with Wharfedale and the revived Leek brand, merged under the new International Audio Group, IAG. IAG, an audio group founded by Chinese entrepreneurs, brothers Bernard and Michael Chang, set out to preserve the British heritage of the acquired brands, supported by global resources and manufacturing facilities in Asia. In 2003, Quad founder Peter Walker passed away in his 88th year of life. He was able to see his company through difficult times and take a new path of development in the 21st century. Under the wing of IAG, Quad introduced a new generation of electrostatic speakers, ESL 988 and ESL 989 models. These speakers were in fact the successors of the ESL 63, realized with modern technologies. In the second half of the 2000s, Quad released even larger models ESL 2805 and ESL 2905, reference series. The ESL 2905 won the prestigious EISA award as the best audio product of 2007. In 2012, the company presented the next evolution, the flagship models ESL 2812 and ESL 2912, where further improvements included robust construction, overload protection, and increased sound power. This is how Quad, despite the changes, has maintained and developed its unique niche over the decades. Equally important was the renewal of amplification equipment. In the IAG era, the legendary Quad 2-tube monoblocks were given a second life. The Classic series was launched, including a reissue of the classic version of the Quad 2 amplifier, as well as the new, more powerful Quad II40 and Quad I80 variants, developed in collaboration with the renowned British engineer Tim de Paravicini. The QC24 tube preamplifier and the QC24P phono stage have been added, providing a complete package for lovers of vinyl and tube sound. In parallel, Quad continued to develop transistor technology. In the early 2000s, the Quad 99 series of the 90s was replaced by the new Quad Elite range, which included the Elite players, Elite FM tuner, Elite preamplifier, and Elite stereo and mono amplifiers. The Elite range modernized Quad's approach to transistor hi-fi, adding features and performance improvements over previous models, but retaining the recognizable signature sound. At the same period, Peter Como, a renowned designer from Wharfedale, joined the team at the invitation of IAG. Under his leadership, Quad created new generations of dynamic speakers. In the late 2000s, the L2 series floor-standing and shelf models, and later, the improved S-series and Z-series ranges with ribbon tweeters. These solutions referenced Quad's historic designs, such as the vintage corner ribbon tweeter from the late 1940s, while utilizing modern materials and calculations to achieve high sound quality. In 2013, the Quadvina range of compact integrated amplifiers was launched, embodying the idea of retro-modernity, classic 1960s-inspired design combined with modern digital technologies, built-in DAC, wireless interfaces, and so on. Quadvina was a successful attempt to appeal to a younger audience, offering signature sound in a convenient and relatively affordable all-in-one format. For more demanding audiophiles, Quad launched the Quad Art Era series of high-end components in 2015. The new range included a powerful stereo amplifier, a preamplifier, a CD player with digital-to-analog converter, as well as all-in-one combination solutions like the Art Era Solus. However, Quad has not forgotten about traditional systems. For example, in 2023, the company introduced a new line of Quad Revela loudspeakers. These loudspeakers actually revived the ideas of the first quad loudspeakers with a new turn. The modern Revela series features improved versions of classic technologies, such as ribbon tweeters and a sophisticated cabinet design. Interestingly, just a year after the launch of Revela, the company revisited its heritage with the announcement of updated versions of the legendary Quad 33 and Quad 303 amplifiers in 2024 to celebrate the 60th anniversary of these models. Retaining the trademark character of the late 1960s quad sound, the new versions of the 33 and 303 feature improved detail, extended frequency range and higher power reserve. Today, the Quad brand is still part of IAG, International Audio Group, headquartered in Shenzhen, China. Quad's manufacturing facilities are located in China. However, the development of new equipment and servicing of vintage models is still centered in the UK, in Huntingdon. Despite the changes, after 90 years, Quad has managed to maintain the ideals set out by its founder. Quad's importance to the audio world cannot be overstated. Its designs have set the standard for home hi-fi for decades to come, and its name has become synonymous with British sound. Today's Quad, part of a large international group, endeavours to combine tradition and innovation, in the name of the closeness to the original that once inspired a young Peter Walker and changed the world of sound. That's how Quad's story came out. As always, let's wish the brand to prosper in the future and keep its fans happy. Thank you all very much for watching. Like, subscribe, comment and stay tuned for new episodes.